another episode of the Pristine Connections podcast. I'm Ashley Furr. I'm sitting here with Jefferie Ellison. He's the owner of Elite Foundation Repairs. Thanks for being here.
Yes, ma'am.
We're just going to dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family.
Jefferie Ellison. I got 2 girls, married, both athletes, ex-athlete myself, but I'm just too old now. I just dig holes for a living. I love traveling, love what I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you get into the foundation repair?
Pure accident.
Okay.
You want the long version?
We could do the long version. Mm-hmm.
So I worked in a fitness center, and I always wanted to be a bartender. And a couple of clients that came in owned a bar, and I asked them, can I go into that? I'll dress all black, I'll be in that, and I'll start being a bartender for you. And one time they let me go in. Well, they needed to open up a new bar. For some reason, I was the only one that actually had any kind of capital. Just save my money, I just don't waste money. And so I ended up partnering up with them in another restaurant, and the private investor was the owner of a foundation company. And then when we ended up having to leave the bar, we were going to move it, we weren't able to pull that off. So I was going to go work for my business partner, and that ended up not working out. His brother said that I was not a good fit, so I went to work for his competition. And 20 years later, I'm still in business and they're not.
Wow. That's a testament right there. So you wanted to be a bartender.
What guy doesn't want to be a bartender? I mean, I think everybody sometimes wants to throw some liquor around.
Sure. So you were an athlete?
Yes.
What sports did you play?
Well, all of them, but I played college football, and then I ran college track.
Oh wow! What college?
I was Howard Payne University, small college. It was a Division II at the time.
Nice.
Enjoyed it. I only played 2 years. Played 2 years, and I just decided I love football. It was different.
Sure.
From high school, it's more about the relationships with your people. Then when you go into college, even at D2, it's not really a business like D1 is, but it is a lot more because then you're completely separated. You have your offense and your defense, and then you're not as close with the people because people are moving a lot and changing conferences and stuff like that. So it just really got to the point where it just wasn't as fun. It was more work than fun. So I decided to bail out and then actually went into engineering.
Okay.
Electrical engineering. I thought I wanted to build robots for a living. Now I dig holes. And from there, I went back into fitness because that's what I loved, and that's how I accidentally fell into foundation repair.
That's great.
So when I say it's accidents, I guess it's luck. They were there. It worked out. It was supposed to be a temporary position. I probably wasn't going to be doing it for more than 6 months, and I'm over 20 years now. So unfortunately, I don't even know how to pour a cocktail anymore. I probably couldn't be a personal trainer anymore. So this is all I know anymore.
So are you a franchise, or this is just solely your company?
Oh, no.
Okay.
This is mine. Yeah.
Okay. What areas do you service? Do you typically just do kind of all over DFW, or do you branch out a little bit farther?
We can almost go anywhere. I mean, we have to consider the drive time, and then we have to consider the cost, because when you start getting, 2 hours outside the Metroplex, we got to start charging, what I would consider higher costs.
Sure.
And then we also have to consider, even though we don't have a lot of warranties, they're actually really rare for us. But we have to consider we got to go back out there for free. And usually there's someone else that's close. When you start getting to more than 2 hours outside the Metroplex, somebody else can do it.
Yeah.
So really, we are DFW. If you just drew a circle around the city, there's no real outskirt road that makes sense. You could say 635 in some cases, but no, we're far north of that.
Okay.
And then, within 30 minutes of the surrounding areas we can get to.
Okay.
But we've done work in Tyler, we've done work in Waco, we've done work in Oklahoma. But people were willing to pay for the difference, the cost difference to get out there. I mean, Waco, we had to stay the night. We can't drive to Waco and do the work and then drive all the way back, because from the office, fully loaded down, that's nearly a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
So 6 hours in the truck, you want me to go work for 6 hours? No, that ain't gonna work.
Absolutely.
So that there you go.
Yeah. So is your industry, seasonal? I feel like with how many different seasons Texans have, you're kind of just a year-long business.
It is seasonal. There's 2 different branches, or 2 different versions of foundation repair. You have your homeowner side, and then you have your real estate transaction side. We are more the real estate transaction side, so that is going to follow the trend of real estate. And then you have your homeowner side that is going to be a lot more consistent than your real estate transaction side. However, it also depends on the amount of water in the ground. If there's a lot of water in the ground and it's not as hot, the foundations tend to be more stable. They're not moving as much. So really the hot droughts are what cause foundation issues. So if you're looking from a real estate transaction side, we want a buyer's market, very hot and very dry. And then that just moves houses right and left, and it's just a better situation for us. And then your homeowner side, it doesn't really matter when they do it. But again, no one wants to fix their foundation in November and December. And now they're recovering from the holidays, so January's out. And then people will start calling you, but then you have all the rain that you're dealing with. It's holding houses in place. So really, when it starts getting dry, that's kind of the switch.
Okay. Yeah, of course, the hottest parts of the year.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly what
And
you
it'll
want to
extend
work
to about November, and then it tends to start slowing down. And really, by the time it slows down, you're actually hoping it slows down because you're just too busy to keep up, and it just wears you out.
Yeah. How are you? So you're obviously real estate based, so a lot of your referrals are coming from real estate agents, inspectors,
Exactly.
builders. Okay.
Not builders.
No,
Builders
okay.
don't call us. But all the real estate agents, real estate inspectors, that's the majority of our business. And then most of the homeowner, just where they're just owning the home, they're not going to sell, they're not looking to move, they're not doing anything, they just see some damage. A lot of them come referred from real estate agents.
Okay, that's interesting. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have with your industry?
Well, I like being transparent. Our industry is very crooked. We, the industry, want you to believe that what we do is something very scientific when it's very basic. It's very common sense oriented. I think a lot of taking out the common sense of approach to it allows the industry, not us, the industry to charge more money and get away with things that they shouldn't get away with because the general public is very ignorant of what we do. We're lifting houses with car jacks. And then I teach classes on this, and then when I'm telling agents that, they start laughing. And then I show them video of us lifting a house with a car jack, and they start laughing again. They didn't realize that it's really, you're just changing a flat tire on a car. Now, granted, the jack is bigger. We use 20-ton jacks, and the rams are 12,000 PSI rams to drive the piers in the ground. But for the most part, it's very basic.
Yeah.
There's a handful of houses that you really got to know what you're doing. But for the most part, if you just are very transparent, don't try to overcharge somebody or over-pier something. What we do is very basic.
Okay. Do you work with a lot of investors at all? I feel like there's most investors I'm always seeing on social media, like, I need a foundation, I need a pier replaced or a beam or whatever.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword on that one. So I would say you have two different types of real estate investors. You have the real estate investors that, it's easier if you say the real estate investors that are going to buy and hold their homes, so they want it fixed correctly.
Sure.
And then you have your flippers. And then you have a lot of real estate agents will buy houses and flip them. Of course, I call it a flip. When they buy, fix up and sell.
Yeah.
Now, there are certain things flip where you buy the house and you just sell the contract, and they call that flip too. But I mean, just buy the house, fix it up, and then turn around and sell it for a profit. People that want to do the right thing, then I can work with them. The ones that want to put lipstick on a pig don't want to work with me.
Sure.
If the house needs 10 piers, they want 3. What can you do for 3? I said, well, I can put 3 in, but I'm still going to tell you need 7 more. And then the engineer we send out there is going to say that it needs more work. So I'm probably not the guy you want to work with.
Yeah.
And they want quick fixes. Again, they want something just good enough to get it sold.
Yeah.
And that's really not what we do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure foundation repairs are a little bit of a sticker shock to some, but they're probably the most crucial, improvement you need on your home, because then it just starts affecting everything else.
Foundation is the most important. If the foundation is not good, it doesn't matter what you do to the house.
Right.
The house is not going to ever fall down. It's not going to be so bad that it's inhabitable. And we always get questions about, is the house structurally sound? Yes, it's always structurally sound. If you have a flat tire on the car, is the car fine? Yes, but you still need to fix the flat tire. Can you drive it on a flat tire? Yeah, but you're an idiot. But the car still is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just got a flat tire. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with flat tires in most cases. So it's again, it's not that difficult. And that's one of the bad things. It's just not a big deal most of the time.
Okay, that's really interesting that you said that. So, do you have any crazy or funny stories from past clients that you could talk about?
Yes. Well, this one's not even about a client. This is about a situation. This is how quickly foundation can get out of hand. I walked out of a house. It was here in Frisco, right down off Lebanon, on where the big houses are. I was walking out of a house, had my zip level, the machine that we use to measure houses, just little tools, nothing fancy. And a guy pulls up and he says, so you do foundation repair, huh? I go, yeah. He goes, you should have got that house down on the corner. They spent $100,000 on that house. And I went, really? That one right there on the corner? And I grabbed my phone and I actually pulled up the address. And I said, I did do it. Here's the drawing. It was only $8,600. And I remember that story. How did it go from $8,600, which is what was done, to $100,000? I don't know. But, you take $8,600 and then they spent nearly $10,000 on that house. Well, yeah, that's true. And then they had to paint the house. They had to redo the landscape. They had to do some work to it. And all of a sudden it becomes a $20,000. And as that story passes, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until somebody that lives in the neighborhood thought it was a $100,000 repair when it was only an $8,600 repair.
Wow.
And that is a true story where they actually said $100,000. Now, he was obviously exaggerating. But he had no idea that it was only $8,600, which today is really a high number. $8,600 is above the average cost.
Yeah, I was about to ask. I mean, obviously it's expensive to some that may just not be ready for that kind of amount to come out. But I mean, typically, what's the largest price that somebody might have to pay for foundation repair?
That's a tough one. It depends. How long is a string? It depends. Average cost is about $6,000 on a house.
Okay.
So people, especially people like the Californians that are moving here to Texas, they think $15,000 to $20,000. A lot of ignorant, not stupid, ignorant people think that foundation is $15,000 to $20,000 when the average is about $6,000.
Okay.
Now that's my cost. I mean, if you go to someone that's on TV, they're going to be about double that. But they're also paying high dollar spokespeople on TV.
Sure.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
So really, if you're looking, across the board, I think even with adding a lot of the bigger companies in, 10,000 is probably more of an average.
Yeah.
But again, people think 15 to 20.
I find this fascinating because I feel like I've known nothing about foundation at all.
Well, see, most people don't. I don't. Someone said at one point in time, it's like 80% of the homes are going to develop some sort of foundation issue.
Yeah.
You would think that more people would know more about it, but it's amazing. People have no idea what we actually do. We'll go to a house and do work on a house, and I didn't know you were going to pull my bush up. Well, how'd you think I was going to get a pier in the ground? Or when we have to do interior piers, I didn't know you were going to cut my floor. How did you think we were going to get it in there? And it's just the little things where people are just ignorant. They had no idea. We're digging holes, and the hole's a 2 foot by 2 foot hole about 5 foot deep. Okay, that's about a cubic yard of dirt, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when you pull a cubic yard of dirt out of the ground, it's not a nice 3 by 3 by 3 square. It's a pile of dirt that's massive.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a tornado hit their yard and just destroyed it.
Yeah.
And we clean up really well, but it's just people have no idea what we do, and they get freaked out, and then they don't. Then they realize it wasn't a big deal. I love going into a house when we do a foundation repair or a foundation evaluation, and we give them a cost, and you can see the sense of relief when they realize the cost is far less than what they ever anticipated.
Yeah. I think people just kind of assume or read or hear about, all these just crazy expenses.
Yeah.
But what about, I guess Texas, you don't really have to worry about it, but I know you said you did some in like Oklahoma, what's it like dealing with like homes that have basements or, how does that work?
That's a tough one. If you can't fix a house with a basement.
Okay.
Now, fix is a odd definition. The goal of a foundation company is to stop the movement. A secondary goal would be to level the property. And level's never a word that's in the dictionary in foundation repair because houses aren't built level. People think they are, they're not.
No.
There's no such thing. So the first goal is to stop the movement. The secondary goal is to return it back to its original intended position without tearing the house up. So if we can move a house back to its original intended position, but we destroyed the house, what was the point? A better example of what we do is if the house falls and then someone decides to remodel the kitchen right here, we can no longer raise it up because we would destroy the remodel. So we have to stop it from moving in its tracks. So again, stability is a big one. So if you have a basement under a home, I can't physically lift that basement out of the ground because the suction and the friction of the soil that's built around it. So all we can do is actually stop it from getting worse.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, that's really good to know.
Yeah.
Let's talk, business really quick. What's some advice that you would give to somebody that may want to be either just a business owner or get into your industry in general?
Well, let's just business in general. My opinion is just never go for the. You don't want to buy a house after one job. You want to make money. You have to make money. I get that, but you don't have to just, own a $10 million property in Highland Park. You don't need to do that. And I think you need to go in with some realistic expectations. It's going to cost more than you think. Be as honest as you can. Honesty and goes further. And if you do something wrong, honesty always gets you out of it before you have any issues. That's why we don't really have a lot of complaints. And taxes are going to kill you. Make sure you're budgeting for that. I would set the business up as a true business in the very beginning. Don't try to start a business and get some money in and then convert it to a business. Don't just try to go do something like as a handyman.
Yeah.
If you're going to commit to it, go ahead and commit to it. Go ahead and get your LLC. Go ahead and start filing your taxes correctly. And never panic. It's going to work out. If you do good work and you're trustworthy and you're honest, it's going to work out for you. It's almost impossible not to.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of sets you guys apart from other foundation companies?
Sadly, I think it's just the full transparency. I'm really big on that, but just telling people the truth. And trying to go in a mindset of helping them rather than trying to make a dollar amount. Since I'm kind of in the real estate business, the best real estate agents out there are the ones that care more about their client than they do the transaction. And they will always succeed. Yeah. They may start off slower, but in the end, they will be better than whoever the big agent is because people trust them. Then they start getting repeat business from that, and to a point where they don't have to do anything but answer the phone.
Right.
They don't have to market anymore. It'll take care of themselves. So that's what
Yeah.
I've already forgotten the question. I went rattling too
No,
long.
What's it like, being different from other foundation companies? Yeah.
I think just being honest with people.
Yeah.
And again, telling the truth and not trying to make, I always say, don't try to make a house payment off every single job. You don't have to. If that job breaks even, but it gets you, the customer's happy, even if you're breaking even on that job, which we do a lot of break-even jobs. People don't realize what the margins are in what we do. It's not very good. It's less than what most restaurant owners make. And restaurant is one of the least profitable businesses out there. Just don't go for an arm and leg and just treat people right. And try to help people.
I like that. Absolutely. So outside of like your synergy partners, do you network often? I mean, what's your reach like when it comes to different networking groups? I know you're obviously part of the Pristine group.
Yeah.
So
I don't like groups. Somehow Josh got me to come to Pristine, and he met me at a BNI group.
Okay.
And that was a good group that I was in, but it wasn't a true BNI group. And I thought, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I like Josh. He seems cool, and I'll go to this group. But this group is awesome. We'll get back to that later. But what I do for marketing is, because I'm a contractor, I will set myself up. Actually, it's not me. I have somebody for that. But they set themselves up with other contractors or other vendors, and then we'll market into real estate agencies and companies and sponsor events. So we're all doing a little bit of money, but then we get our faces out there in front of, 50 agents, and then they'll end up calling us.
That's great.
That's what I do, but I don't actually like groups.
Groups themselves.
But this group is set up different.
Yes.
It's just a better thought process. So
I like that.
thinking went into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you been a member long? or are you brand new for the?
No,
Okay.
I've been a member a while. I just haven't done this.
No, that's okay.
So I would say close to a year, or just over a year.
That's great.
Yeah.
And have you seen, I mean, good referrals, good ROI come out of this group? I mean, I know
Yes.
you're busy. Okay.
I don't track ROI. I mean, I know I should, but things that bog you down, I just tend to ignore and just keep going. As long as the bank account's climbing, we're good.
Yeah.
But the people in this group are awesome. I met two last Tuesday. I met two. I mean, I've already scheduled an appointment with one.
Good.
And another one's already called me. I've already done business with several of the people in that group because, I mean, they're all good people.
Yeah. It's definitely a different way of networking. I wouldn't even consider it really networking. It's just marketing on a whole different level, which is
it's
great.
market using all of us to
Yeah.
market together. It just makes more sense. If I have 100 clients and you have 100 clients, if we put ourselves together, we have 200 clients each. And that's the vision that I'm seeing so far. That's the vision that this is going, and I think it would be good for everybody.
Yeah.
And we're not. Luckily, right now there's only one foundation company and one plumbing company in there. So yeah. But there's multiple roofers in there already, and Josh is a roofer. So it's a great group so far.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're liking it. I'm glad it's working out for you. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up? Any other advice? Information?
No. Foundation is not rocket science. Don't think that it is. That's the biggest thing. Of course, normally my advice goes to real estate agents. Never panic. Just be a duck on water. Don't panic in front of your client, and just always realize almost anything. Well, really anything can be fixed.
Yeah.
So don't panic about it.
That's great. I guess one last question, since you just said that about panicking and stuff, and there's so much that goes in the process, especially for people that are purchasing a new home on the real estate side. Do you really lean on inspectors? Do you have inspectors that you absolutely trust that would make sure they find, any foundation issues? Talk to me about that really quick.
Well, obviously, usually the house has a general inspector, and inspectors are going to call out anything. So what you need is someone that knows the foundation business good to really inspect a foundation. Again, it's not rocket science. If you have little hairline cracks, that doesn't mean anything. You have to have some pretty good separations to actually need a foundation problem. So I wouldn't lean on any general inspectors. They're going to say it's fine or it's not. Now, if a general inspector says it's fine, it's fine. You don't need us. But if a general inspector says they're not sure, go ahead and call someone. Then you can give us a call at that point.
Okay, that's really good information. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for
Yes,
being part of the
ma'am.
group. We will see you next time.
All right.